All right, welcome back. This is part two of, and hopefully part two of the August 19th music appreciation. Okay, part two of the August 19th of music appreciation. I have now noticed a grave error in my mistake of doing this by phone. Apparently, when I turn my phone sideways to do this stuff, it doesn't go sideways on the computer screen. So I'm sorry for half my lessons. When I turn my thing sideways, it goes like this, and you're having to look like this just to watch it. I'm sorry. Okay. So for this last video, I'm gonna try it in like this upright mode and see if it does a little bit better. Okay. So if hopefully you should be able to get this on the phone and turn the phone, look up any of these videos on the phone and turn the phone sideways and watch them. Okay. But for this one, I'm just gonna keep it upright like this and get it going. Okay. Um, so for this lesson, okay, for this part of the lesson, I need you to go ahead and have this piece of paper out, okay? See how it says chart one and it's got a bunch of notes on it? Yeah, you see that? I need you to get that piece of paper out and I'm fixing to set the phone down and we're gonna get started, okay? Get that piece of paper out. You might want to pause the video if you don't have it out. All right, so hopefully by now you have that piece of paper out, okay? It's called chart one, quarter notes and rest, okay? It's like this. Okay. All right. So the first thing we need to discuss on this paper is two important numbers. Okay. Do you see line number one? Okay. Line number one. Do you see these two little numbers right here? Okay. If you look closely at them, it says it is two fours stacked on top of each other. Okay. You see it? You see it? All right. On your piece of paper, take your pencil or whatever you're using to write with, okay? So you get that 4 and that 4. All right, can you see that? You got that 4 and 4. Take your pencil, draw an arrow above it, and write time signature, okay? Write time signature. Okay? This in music world, this is what we call a time signature. It tells us this number, okay? This time signature tells us two very important things, okay? It tells us two very important things. The first one is how many beats are in a measure, okay? How many beats are in a measure. And the second thing it tells me is what kind of note gets the beat, okay? But we're fixing to get in that, okay? So, the first number, the top number, okay? Up somewhere out beside it or something, wherever you want to write, okay? Somewhere beside that top number, draw an arrow and write this. All right, that says, let's see if you can read it. Okay, let me pull a little bit closer so you can read it. Okay, that says number of beats. Okay, the top number is going to tell me the number of beats per measure. Okay, let me say it again. The top number is going to tell me the number of beats per measure. All right, so you're kind of like, probably like, well, Mr. Parks, what is a measure? Good question. Okay, let's look at number one more time before we go on. Okay, do you see this little vertical line right there? You see that little vertical line? Oh, stop blurring. There's a little vertical line right there. You see the little vertical line right there? Above that vertical line, okay? So you got the staff, and halfway between that staff you have a vertical line, right? Can y'all see that? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Above that vertical line, draw an arrow up. Okay. Draw an arrow up. This is what we call a bar line. Okay. Ooh, almost failed. It is what we call a bar line. All right. Let me pull this up so y'all can see that. All right. So that vertical line is what we call a bar line. A bar line, you don't have to write this down, okay? A bar line separates two measures, all right? So that means, okay, that everything before the bar line, is a measure, and everything after the bar line until we reach the next bar line. Because you see, if you look at this one, your first bar line's right there, but then you go over a little bit more, you have your next one. All right, you go over some more, you have another one, and then that right there, that last one, is called a double bar line, okay? Well, I'm not really worried about the double bar line right now because it just doesn't matter, okay? But the bar line separates two measures. So we said right here that the top 4 means the number of beats in a measure. So how many beats are going to be in each measure? Okay, 4. There will be 4 beats per measure. That means over here I have to have 1, 2, 3, 4 beats in that measure, and then I've reached a bar line. So now I got to start over at 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. Every time you get to a bar line, okay, I'll bring it so you can see it. Every time you get to a bar line, you start over. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bar line. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Remember, bar line separates the measures. Okay? So now that I've told you what the top number means, okay, we got that 4 on top. It tells you the number of beats per measure. Okay? The bottom number, okay, now this one's a little bit longer. Okay? The bottom number tells me what kind of note gets the beat. Okay, so it tells what note gets the beat. Okay, so I'm gonna pull that a little closer so you can see it. Okay, so the bottom number, that bottom 4, tells what note gets the beat. Okay, tells what note gets the beat. All right, so in this case we have a 4 on bottom. Okay, whenever you see a 4 on the bottom, this goes for anytime you see a 4 on the bottom, all right, write this down too. Anytime you see a 4 on the bottom, that means the quarter note gets the beat. Okay. Okay, you see how I wrote that out down there? Anytime the 4 is on the bottom, the quarter note gets the beat. Okay, so you just remember that. Quarter note on 4 on bottom equals quarter note. Okay, I dropped my marker somewhere. Well, I don't know where. All right, I found it. All right, so the 4 on the bottom is what gets the beat. Okay, you understanding? I hope so. All right, so let's look at number 1. Look at number 1. And look at number 1, okay? And look at the first measure, okay? So just from here to here, look at that first measure. How many quarter notes do you see in that measure? How many quarter notes? You should be saying 3. I see 3 quarter notes, so hopefully you're saying 3, okay? So let's just write it down right here. So we got our 4, 4. So when I write this stuff, okay, let me explain this. When I write this stuff on paper, I write it without the staff, because you see how, if you look, you see how every quarter note's on the same line. When we work on rhythm stuff, most time the notes will be on the same line because we're not worried about reading the notes. We're just worried about reading the rhythm. Okay, so when I do this on paper, I'm not going to write out the lines of the staff and place the note on the line that it has. I'm just going to write it freehand. Okay, so we got the 4, 4, and then, like I said, we have 3 quarter notes. So I'm going to draw out 3 quarter notes. You don't have to draw anything. All right, so I got my 3 quarter notes. What comes after the 3 quarter notes? a quarter rest, okay? You see that quarter rest? Now that's what a quarter rest really looks like. I know my drawing is bad, okay? So I got my quarter rest. What comes after the quarter rest? Our bar line, all right? So that tells me that that bar line tells me that we're ready to start the next measure. Would you say that the first and second measure are the same or different? Hopefully you're saying that they are the same, okay? So what am I going to do? I'm just going to rewrite 3 quarter notes. And 1 quarter rest with a bar line, okay? Now, I only have a few more minutes on this one, okay? So, now we got to learn how to count it. Do we remember how many numbers comes with the quarter note? When we count it, okay? How many numbers come with the quarter note? You should be saying 1, okay? There's only 1 number that comes with a quarter note every time, okay? Now, according to our time signature, okay, the 4/4, how many beats on the measure? Okay, you should be saying 4. There should be 4 beats in the measure. So, what gets beat 1? Out of all this, what gets beat 1? You should be saying the first quarter note. Okay, the first quarter note. So below that first quarter note, so in this space right here, put a 1. I want you to put a 1. Okay, because that gets beat 1. What gets beat 2? The next quarter note gets beat 2. What about 3? The next quarter note gets beat 3. And what about 4? The quarter rest. You see this quarter rest? This quarter rest would get beat 4. Because remember, quarter notes and quarter rest only get 1 beat. And make sure you write a small 4, okay? With a dash. Why do we write the dash? Because the dash represents silence, okay? So if you notice that the next measure is exactly the same, we're just going to write another big 1, another big 2, another big 3, a small 4 with a dash. Okay, because they're exactly the same measure, right? Yes, they are, okay? So, an important part of this class, is clapping and counting, okay? Now that we have the rhythm written out, we are now going to clap, okay? Physically clap our hands, and count, okay? So watch me do it. I'm going to do it right here, okay? I'm going to go. Now, notice our rhythm is 1, 2, 3, rest on 4, right? So that means I should only hear 3 claps and 1 rest, okay? So what? 1, 2, 3, rest. Do you see how I clapped on beat 4, but I missed my hands? That's how we show when we clap and count, we're hitting rest, okay? Look, watch. 1, 2, 3, 4. I missed the clap on 4 because I'm representing a rest, okay? So if I was to do both these measures together, okay? So when we read music, we read it like a book, okay? We start at left and go right in a continuous motion, okay? In a continuous motion. We don't go 1, 2, 3, 4, stop, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 again, okay? So watch, I'm going to do both measures, okay? I'm going to do both measures, because watch me. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? You notice on both times for the rest that I miss my hands. Okay? I'm going to miss my hands like this to represent a rest. Okay? Okay, so I'm starting to run out of time on this video. Okay? So I will be back for part 3. We'll wrap it up in part 3. Okay? So I'll be right back. Go find part 3.